alternative ideas. I'm just on here. We've been talking about imposter syndrome, and today we're going to talk on the causes of imposter syndrome. Listen, it's hot season for me. I've just been trying not to come out here looking raggedy because this hair, I am so done with it. I was like, I don't know what to do with this hair, so let's do some hats, and that's why I'm here. But I'm not gonna talk about hair. We're just here to talk on the causes of imposter syndrome. I wasn't gonna let this hair be an imposter and try and stop me from being great. See what I did there? Anyway, so I'm taking this from betterup.com. They had some examples that I felt like I could just build upon and share my own story to see, some of the causes of imposter syndrome. So one of the things that they said was the cause was the family environment. And I find this story very, very funny, but it said growing up, parents or other family members might have put outsized emphasis on achievement or being overly critical. And they were like, example, Sam rushed home to tell her parents she received a 98 on her 8th grade math test. She studied the terms every night for a week and is very proud of herself. Sam's parents always brag to their friends about her accomplishments. When Sam excitedly tells her parents the good news, they say, "What happened? Why didn't you get 100? And I'm thinking to myself, this must be an African parent. This must have been an African that wrote this up because where did the 2% go, girl? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do that? Get up to 100%, boy. Like, what's going on with you? You should be doing this. Is it like, I'm talking about my dad. He'd be like, science is just a reading subject. Why don't you pass science? You just read and go and pass. Like, Daddy, I don't just read and go and pass. I just don't like the subject, And because of that, you have this thing on making sure that wherever you go, you have to have 100%. And I feel like that's what has really stopped a lot of people from achieving, even if they got a 70 or an 80 or a 90 or even a 98%, they are like, I didn't do so well. And that's when the self-doubt come in. That's when they criticize themselves. That's when they talk back, negative talks to themselves. They have that negative conversation about themselves, and it's because of the environment they grew up in, and it has affected a lot of us in some way or form, that we feel like if we don't do it 100, if we don't give it 100, or not don't give it 100, give it 100, but if you give it 100 and you don't get 100, you feel like I didn't do well, and then you start looking down on yourself, and this is what has caused this to happen. And sometimes it really stops you from going all out or going to do what you're supposed to do. The second thing they talked about was social pressures, and they said being part of a social circle or group where approval or worth seems to be explicitly connected to achievement. Ain't that some of the things that we go through where, if you are not doing well, you are classified, or you're put in a certain category or box, and it's like an environment where back in the day, if you're not in science or in law or doing some sort of something, they are like, you are not doing well. Like our biopic of the month of February, can you imagine being in that environment where it's like you have to be a doctor, or you have to be in this particular field, and finding herself being a mechanic? Like, she had to stand her ground to achieve her goals. She's like, I love this, I enjoy it, and I'm gonna be great at it, because she was looking ahead. And so that pressure of, you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, even back then, even if you said, I want to be a musician or I want to be a footballer, your parents are looking at you like, what do you mean? Like my dad was supposed to be a footballer. Sometimes I'd be like, why didn't you just go on and become a footballer? Because listen, by now we'll be like l'argent, we'll be flowing in some money. But he had to do the work of the Lord, and I'm like, well, you can still be a footballer and still do the work of the Lord. Like, why? Some of those things were looked down on. Well, for him, I think it's because he broke his wrist, and that was what stopped him from, pursuing that. But it's like, apart from that, he had a calling, and this is where, he put most of his energy into, which he's doing so well in. But, back then, some of these things were really looked down on, and it's like, because society had this category or thing that you have to do, people have looked down on so many other things, and so many of us have gone into a space and place where it's like, we can't do this because this is not what society agrees to. But if you just step out of that box, if you just step out of faith and begin to do that thing which you love, you never know where it will take you. So that societal pressure really does affect us one way or form. It really makes us take decisions instead of doing what we love or doing what we are called to. I know back then, when I was going to study, I was going to be, it's called ICSA, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Accountants or something. And I remember when I was going to study that, before doing finance, well, I started to do that. I started studying to become this chartered secretary or an accountant, but down the line I went into finance. But even before going to do the ICSA, I remember somebody said that when you graduate, is it what the market is going to be asking for right now? Accountants, right? So they were trying to push me into accounting or ACCA at that time, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. It was like, what is the what is the industry looking out for? What is coming out at the end by the time you're done? And it's like, you don't know what the future is called. Right now, technology is the it thing. There's so many other things that are going on so well that no one would have ever thought that if I'd gone into this, I'll be doing so well in it. Every time, all the time we've ever thought of anything, it was about being a doctor, being a lawyer, doing banking, and that was like the three main things that most people in Africa, most kids in Africa had to go through. And so this pressure of you having to achieve this thing had really stifled us, really stopped us from achieving certain things. We could have been in certain places at certain times, we could have still achieved our goals. And I also wanted to add that, if you're fully in Christ, being led by the Spirit is so important in your life, that whenever you go into these spaces, whenever you do anything, you are being led by the Spirit and not by what the society is saying, or not by what your community or what the pressure from the society is coming up with. But I'm gonna step out and do this no matter what. I'm just gonna do this because 10 years down the line, look at where some of these companies are. So social pressures does affect us and makes us have this thing, and then that's what leads to I'm not able to do this, I am inadequate, I am not able to do this, and past experience because of that, you're like so these pressures does affect us, and then that's what causes imposter syndrome. Another thing they said was sense of belonging. Part of imposter syndrome is a fear of being found out and cast out. So any circumstance, even in the past, that made a person feel different or excluded from the group. Language, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, religion, or physical or learning differences can fuel the imposter phenomenon. The person can carry that persistent sense of not belonging long after the circumstance is resolved. And so, you have this desire of belonging. And this, I feel like this really affects us as young people. And that's why I hate cliques. That's why I hate, looking down on people having this group things that, you're part of this group, or you're part of this group, and this group don't talk to this group. And, I really hate that. And I think one of the reasons is I've shared my story of being bullied in school. Another thing is I remember this day in 6th grade so well. I'm trying to remember this girl's name. But I am from Ghana, but I grew up in the Gambia. So 6th grade found me in the Gambia in school. And I remember this girl, listen, I was not a talkative. I was very reserved kid, so I don't know what I could have done to trigger this girl to say this. And so that's why I always find myself being like a misfit, because I am not being accepted in this place. But when I go to Ghana, like, where do I fit in Ghana? Because I didn't grow up there. I only have my cousins, my family, they're the only people that I know there, so apart from them, it's like, where do I fit? I do speak the languages. I speak Wolof and Twi, and I do speak a little bit of Ga, in Ghana. So I do understand our languages, but it's like I have always had this thing of being a misfit. And so this incident happened. I was in class, and this girl, I really don't know what triggered her to say this, but she was so mad. She was so angry. Like, 6 years old. How old was I? I was like 11. I mean, 6th grade. I'm 6th grade, not 6 years old. 6th grade. I was like 11, and this girl was so mad at me. She was so mad at me. She was stomping her foot, like, oh, she can't be in this country. Who is she to be in this? Like, I remember so well the words that came out of her mouth, that I wasn't supposed to be in this country. Why am I in this country? I'm a foreigner, blah, 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 blah. And, it kind of like, should I say, verified, the misfitness that I was feeling, the not belonging, I didn't belong here. I didn't even have any Ghanaian friend. I had friends in other classes, but they were not from Ghana, they were from different countries. So I think even in 6th grade, I really didn't have any friend, because my friend that I was close to had moved to another school. And so, I felt like alone in that time. And even if I wasn't really close to even the ones that I called friends in the other classes, but I did not feel like I belonged, and so I think I've carried that everywhere I go, that even if I'm in a group setting, if I am not close to a person, I find it hard to kind of like reach out to other people and start a conversation, unless maybe I am the host, or I have been, or you are coming to my territory. Then I have to be very bubbly, and because I want to make sure you feel okay, I want to make sure you feel right. But if I'm going to another person's place or territory, I tend to be very reserved, because I'm trying to study the people, and I'm trying to study whether I belong to this setting of people, because of how because of my past experience. And that's why we say past experience is a cause or a symptom of imposter syndrome. And I remember this one time that I went to one of my friend's family's place. There was a party going to happen, but I was there a day earlier, helping out, trying to make sure that everything is in place. I love to help out. I love to organize stuff. And so on the day of, before the party actually started, there were some friends of the family that came over, really nice people, really like, they knew this person so well. and they were close to them, and they were so like, you know, I wasn't really close to her family, I was really close to her, but even when I was there, only just me and them, it was really like nice and warm, and they were very welcoming. But when these other people came in, I like drew back, and they noticed that not the visitors, but the family that were hosting me at that time, they noticed that, and they kept checking on me, are you okay, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm fine. So later I had to tell my friend, like, you know, I try not to impose, I'm not that kind of person that I'm like the intro extrovert. So I can be very, very intro, and I could be very, very extro, depending on the situation. And that day, after being so extroverted, they saw a different side of me. I think my friend hadn't seen that side of me before, and she kept asking, are you okay? And her uncle was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine, like, you know, but they could see it on my face. And that's what I say, that, you know, that aura is around you, you know, you looking down on yourself, you being resentful of yourself. I wasn't resenting myself or anything, but I quickly closed up, you know, and not show myself, because I was just trying to study the people, and I guess, you know, trying to kind of like, what should I measure whether I fit in, whether I belong to that group of people. And that's what this things like really, really does, you know. And I realized that about myself, like I could just be so quiet. I could just be so quiet, you know. Another thing that they said here was personality. Some personality types are more linked to internalizing feelings of pressure, doubt and failure. Times of stress or transition, even unrelated to work, can make it worse. Example, they said, Campbell has a highly introverted personality. She tends to process her feelings internally rather than work through them by communicating outwardly. When Campbell internalizes negative emotions, she ruminates. This habit of negative self-talk causes her to belittle her achievements. So you can see that Campbell here is very, very introverted, and it happens for a lot of introverts, you know, and those in between, like me. So having that negative thought, and you know, it sometimes ruminates here. Let me just define what ruminates. I actually just learned about this today. I was having a session, and ruminates is, let me see if I can find, I couldn't get, okay. Rumination is a dark side of self-talk. It happens when you replay negative thoughts over and over again in your head. And so sometimes you push away this negative thoughts. So they said rumination is like, which if you were attentive in science class, you remember. When they said the word, I didn't quite remember, but when they started explaining what it was, I remember that I was taught this in school. I think elementary or in high school or something, where they talk about having like the cow would eat and chew and chew and chew, and they would keep a section of the food, and then at some point bring it back up and start chewing. So they'll have the one that they'll swallow, and they'll have the one that they'll keep for later. And so rumination is like that, is that that self-talk, you know, that you bring back up, you know, you keep it in the back of your mind, and then it comes back up again at some point in your life, and you just dwell on it. And so Campbell is that kind of person that had, and not to say it's just in introverts, but also I feel like extroverts go through that, because, you know, you see somebody all bubbly, all happy, like they have a very great personality, they are extroverts, but they're going through stuff. They're going through stuff, man, and you never know. And so I wish people would be able to talk more. I wish I can talk more. I feel like I think I did try to do that one of these days when I was talking to a friend and I just brought something up, and I was so glad that they took it so well. It didn't register that day how they had taken it well till the next time I was thinking about it, rumination, but but when I thought about it again, I was like, yo, this person took this well, and I really appreciate it. They didn't come back to me like saying, why would you do this, and why are you doing this, and why, like, they didn't come back like that saying that, but they took it well, and they're like, how can I help? And I really appreciated that. And so I wish, and that's for me, being able to talk about it. It will make me want to talk more about other stuff. So, and see, knowing that this person took it so well, I feel like I can be able to talk about another thing, but I'll take my time. And so whoever you are that's out there that's having this negativity, you know, I would say it doesn't just happen to the introverts. I feel like extroverts, it happens to extroverts as well. And so not just checking up on them, but also you as this person dealing with this, being able to talk to somebody about it, especially when you know that this person is not going to harm you or anything, or say anything. I mean, some people would want to see you be on track, but sometimes you don't want that. You want that listening ear. You want that hey, how can I be of help, you know? So I think when someone comes to you about, you know, what they are going through, I think we should be at a point where we should discern when to bring them into alignment and when to like calm them down and like talk to them in a way to let them understand that yes, you may understand what they're going through. You may have, you know, you can be of help, and how can you be of help, and just directing them and letting them know that you are there for them, because there's a time to put into alignment and there's a time to softly talk to them and let them know that you are there for them. Because some people, like the extroverts, would go back and have these thoughts and commit suicide, and that's not what we want. So here you might say that it's negative people, no, introverts, that it happens to a lot, but I also think that extroverts experience this as well, and they just have a way of like covering it up. I feel like everybody have a way of covering it up, but they would have a way, because, and sometimes you don't really expect it because they're all bubbly, they're all out there, and you don't know. But yes, checking up on them, but also you as this person going through this, people perceiving you as this person, or identify who the right person to talk to is and go and talk to them so that you're able to overcome this and not bottle it in and not commit suicide. I hope these causes of imposter syndrome really helped you to identify why you're going through this, and will help you to dissect and identify areas you can do better so that you can break barriers. Really, I want to see you all break barriers. I don't want you to allow anything hold you back. Like, I didn't allow this hair stop me from doing the video. I think that's what was holding me back a lot, because I could have done this video a long time ago. It should have been coming out like on the 1st of February, but here I am wearing all them hats, and it's like, wow, what's going on, you know? But here we are. I just want to use this to encourage you, and the next video we're going to talk on how to overcome imposter syndrome. And I don't know whether it's going to be 1 video or 2 videos. I wanted to just do 4 videos, but here we are. Let's see how it goes. I really appreciate everyone that's been watching. I really appreciate that you took your time to even watch. Share, like, and also if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on social media, follow us. You know, we would like to see more of you. Anyway, see you next time. God bless. Bye.